What up, Dokkanners? The 9th anniversary banners are on their way, or depending on when you're watching this, they might already be here. In this video, we are going to be discussing two things. Number one, how do you rank the top 4 new summonable LR characters during the 9th anniversary? And how do you set up their hidden potential systems? Because while you're watching this, you might be hoping to find out, you know what? I don't know how to build this guy. I'm kind of leaning towards additional, but I want to throw some dodge in there. What does Toon have to say? So that is the purpose of this video. I will be sectioning off each character so you guys can very easily navigate through if you want. But hopefully you watch the whole thing. And if you guys have been enjoying all the 9th anniversary content on the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, we're actually at the final frontier. I can't believe it. Thank you guys so much for all of the support. Now, to answer the first question, how would I rank the 4 new summonable LRs? The answer is simple. Beast Gohan is number 1. Gogeta is number 2. Broly is number 3. And the Gammas are number 4. Now, make no mistake, just because the Gammas in my list are number 4 doesn't make them bad. It's a single character. Doesn't make them bad. So if you are watching this after you finished all your summons, you only have the Gammas, you're thinking, oh man, I got the worst one. Keep in mind, these characters are all leagues above everybody else. They transcend everything else. They are so stupidly good that relative to the higher 3, this character does certain things that, in my opinion, might not make them as favorable right away, but they're all still really, really good. So don't think of it as anything like that. So let's just start from the top. We will also be covering the banner units. So I do have the Golden Frieza and the Betrothed couple here. So we will be going over those characters as well in terms of their hidden potential. But let's just start from the top. Beast Gohan, Superheroes, Bond of Master and Disciple, Miraculous Awakening, 170%. Extra stats plus 30 to Entrusted Will and Movie Heroes. For the super attacks, greatly raises attack for 1 turn, raises defense for 1 turn, causes colossal damage. That's the 12 key. For the 18 key, greatly raises attack, raises defense for 4 turns, causes mega colossal damage to the enemy. That is the 18 key super attack. For the Link super attack on the 18 key, greatly raises attack, raises defense for 4 turns, causes mega colossal damage, raises allies' chance to crit by 20% for 1 turn, and disables enemy action once within the turn. The condition to do all this, simply having a Piccolo attacking in the same turn when key is 18 or higher. That is not a Demon King Piccolo or a Buccolo. That is absurd. So if you've got like STR Spaghetti Arms Piccolo from the Cooler movie, or if you've got Tech Orange Piccolo, those are 2 fantastic options. Or even the physical Android Cell Saga Piccolo that fuses with Kami, you can scout with him. So those are the types of characters you want to be bringing to have on rotation with the Gohan. Gohan is basically a solo act, which you'll find out in a second. An invincible slot 1, a win condition in his own right, and just overall busted. So you could throw anybody you want on the team with Beast Gohan there. So here's the passive. The Beast Unleashed. Activates the entrance animation once only upon entry. Key plus 8, chance to perform a crit. Reduce damage received by 40% for 5 turns from first appearance. Key plus 3. Attack and defense plus 250%. Guard activated against all attacks. Gains an additional attack plus 50% when attacking. Gains an additional chance to perform a critical hit 20% when key is 24. Gains an additional defense plus 80% and reduces damage received by 20% when key is 24 when receiving an attack. Gains an additional key plus 1 per key sphere obtained, making all of these various conditions much easier to achieve, having max key and all that. Performs an additional super attack, and all allies other than the character itself, so self-excluded, key plus 3 for the turn after receiving an attack. So this is kind of like the Tech LR Orange Piccolo, where after you get hit, everybody on the turn, all super class allies get key plus 2. Is it super class or regular? Whatever. Point is, this is that, but better. Only issue is that you don't give yourself key, but you get it in other ways. And you get an additional super attack, so that's pretty broken. Key plus 1 per attack received up to 5. Gains an additional attack and chance to perform a crit plus 20% per attack received during the turn. So if you put this guy in slot 1 and he just eats up all of the damage, all of the attacks, you will also get more key. That's where you make up for the key. You get more attack and you can get a guaranteed crit if you receive enough hits. Are you sold yet on how stupid this guy is? Gains an additional chance to perform a critical hit and reduces damage received by 20% and all allies key plus 2 starting from the turn in which the character has performed their 5th attack or has received their 8th attack in battle. So overall, this character can completely hold their own. You don't have to worry about anything defensively. Offense is stupid. Support is happening on the rest of the rotation in a multitude of different ways. The ease of obtaining ki is also there because you do it from getting hit, you do it from collecting orbs, and from the synergy that you might get from the other characters on the team. So this character is self-sufficient. This is basically what we call a win condition. And then we've got the target focus effect. This is the new mechanic from the 9-year. E plus 24, defense plus 158, redirects all attacks to the character, performs crits for 1 turn. This can be activated starting from the turn after the character receives an attack. That's it. You get slapped once, the next turn, yes, it's my turn. That's it. This guy is stupidly good. Critical, taken care of. Dodge, I mean, do you really need dodge? The dude is invincible, so you don't really need the dodge. So that just leaves one thing. In the hit potential setup, what do you focus on? You focus on additional. Max additional. The rest can either go to crit or to dodge, depending on your preference. I personally will probably go crit, just because it will allow me to have that much more of a chance to get crits outside of the active skill where it's guaranteed, outside of the situations where Beast Gohan gets hit 5 times before attacking, you know? So I think I'll probably go with this as opposed to dodge. There's just no reason for the dodge. Although, on the flip side, dodge could be useful for that target focus effect. Keep in mind, redirecting all attacks towards the character doesn't mean you are going to dodge it. It just means it's redirecting all the attacks. So what's going to keep you alive is the guarding and all of the damage reduction that you're going to be having throughout this passive build. So if you are a little concerned that maybe sometime after 5 turns, this lessened damage reduction isn't enough combined with guard, then maybe dodge can be the thing for you. But keep in mind with dodge, it can be disabled because there are events that disable dodge. But now with Tech UI Goku off in the distance, off in limbo somewhere, we still, at the moment of me recording this video, we don't know where Tech UI Goku is going to be. But that is the first of a new generation of characters that will be able to overwrite certain ability disabling quirks. I've been watching My Hero Academia. Sorry, I'm using My Hero Academia terminology here. Dodge disabling can be disabled. So this has now increased in value again. So honestly, this last part is up to you, personal preference, but unquestionably max additional is the way to go. So that is the Beast Gohan in a nutshell. Now let's move on to Gogeta. So I think that Gogeta is actually the second best character, but there are certain properties about this character compared to Broly that you might want to flip-flop. And also with the Broly, there's also the thing about him being an extreme class that does boost the value of extreme class characters, making the character more important because you might have a lot of extreme characters. So this, I would say, position number 2 and number 3 could be interchangeable depending on who you ask. But for me, I think Gogeta is number 2. It is a shame that his banner is probably not on the same level as the rest. So this guy is a movie heroes 200% lead. This is the Carnival LR. Greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn. Causes colossal damage to the enemy. For the 18 key, raises defense permanently. Greatly raises attack for 1 turn. Causes mega colossal damage to the enemy. For the passive, in his base SSJ form, E plus 2 attack and defense plus 154. Attacks effective against all types. Gains an additional attack and defense plus 100% when launching a super. Activates guard against all attacks for 3 turns from first appearance. Plus an additional key plus 1 per type key sphere obtained. Plus an additional key plus 2 per rainbow key sphere obtained. Randomly changes non-physical key spheres into rainbow key spheres. Launches an additional attack with a 70% chance of becoming a super attack. Launches another additional super attack when 1 or more rainbow key spheres have been obtained. So basically both are going to happen. And the ease of picking up rainbow key spheres are definitely going to be fairly consistent because of this passive right here. This is just the base form. So now we move into the blue Gogeta. That happens on turn 4. You can activate the active skill and turn into blue Gogeta. When that happens, bro, hurry up. Okay, DokkanInfo.com broke apparently. Sure. So here we go. When he transforms, greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes colossal damage to the enemy. Massively raises attack for 4 turns, causes mega colossal damage to the enemy. For the passive, recovers 54% health whenever the character appears for 4 turns from first appearance. This means you can give yourself a 54% heal twice, because you will appear twice during the 4 turn. Oh, there you are. Okay. What's with all the Dokkan sites glitching these days? Recovers 54%. You can do this twice. That's pretty cool. Key plus 3, attack and defense plus 200%. Attacks still effective against all types. Gains an additional attack and defense plus 100% when launching a super, plus an additional key plus 2 per key sphere obtained, making that much easier to launch 12 keys and 18 keys. Randomly changes non-physical key spheres into rainbow. Launches an additional super attack. Launches another additional super attack with 1 or more rainbow key spheres obtained. Great chance to dodge. Critical chance plus 20% per attack evaded. So the more you dodge, the more crit chance you get. Meaning if you dodge 5 attacks in a turn, you have 100% crit. That's how it works. Oh, wait a second. Is that permanent? Wait. Yep. Spoke to my buddy Proton. Shout out Proton. The incremental crit lasts for 99 turns. So after you dodge 5 attacks, you have permanent crit for the rest of battle. I had to check the Dokkan Wiki to see if there's any difference there. Yeah. And then great chance to nullify key-based super attacks and counter with tremendous power. Active skill. Temporarily massively raise attack, cause ultimate damage, and for 1 turn, the enemy will focus their attacks on this character, whereby you will dodge all attacks. From the next turn, this character appears from first appearance. So the turn after that you transform. So that is the Gogeta / Gogeta Blue. That is stupid. The downside for the character is honestly the banner, but the unit itself, really good. The trick is to transform. So that is kind of also a downside because you need a couple of turns to transform into this Gogeta. But when you do, you basically have guaranteed crit. So how would you build this hidden potential? Well, the answer is maximum dodge. The reason why maximum dodge is priority number 1 is twofold. Number 1, you want to be focusing on as much dodge as possible so that you can achieve guaranteed crit as quickly as possible. Of course, that can be accomplished in 1 turn if you use the target focus effect, but not every turn is that going to be a situation where you have 5 attacks coming in on the turn after you transform and you need to utilize this. Maybe you need it sooner. Also, in the untransformed state at the Super Saiyan level, this character is not nearly as effective. So you want to be providing some dodge here so that you can have some possible outs in case something fatal is about to happen during the turn that this character is around. So max dodge is 100% the best way to go. The rest can go into additional because there is no need for crit. You will get crit when you transform, and in the meantime, you have the makeshift crit by having attacks effective against all types. If you want to put a little bit into crit, you can. Some people like to spread the hidden potential across all 3. I don't personally prefer to do that, but you can if you want. So that is my official statement on the Gogeta. Let's move on now to the AGL Broly. For this character, I moved this guy down to number 3 because I originally had him at number 2 because of just how much he can do for the extreme class. But when you break it down to the individual accolades of the character, I kind of reshifted my priorities a little bit. This character is still the most important extreme class character right now because of how much it can do for super bosses, which is the new budding category, and just the future of extreme class in general. We don't get too many good extreme class characters on a normal basis. It just doesn't happen that way. So this character is really good and on its own and in terms of a lead, but we're going to focus more so on what the character can do on his own. Is my music a little loud? All right, there we go. So let's begin. Super bosses, transformation boost or full power, key plus 3, 170%, extra stats plus 32, exploding rage, and movie boss. Raises attack, raises defense for 1 turn, causes colossal damage to the enemy. Permanent attack raising. For the 18 key, greatly raises attack permanently, raises defense for 4 turns, causes mega colossal damage to the enemy. This is the base version of Broly. There is the full power version. For the passive, plays entrance animation when the character appears for 4 turns, key plus 5, attack and defense plus 100%, and launches a super attack. Attack and defense plus 150%. Guard activated against all attacks, plus an additional key plus 1 per key sphere obtained. Gains an additional attack plus 50% when launching a super attack, and gains an additional defense plus 50 when launching an ultra super attack. Key plus 2 launches an additional super attack when attacking in the first or second slot. Key plus 6 and launches an additional super attack with a high chance of launching another additional super attack in slot 3. In order to transform into full power and release the hyper dimension, you are going to need to be around for 5 turns from first appearance. When you do, you will transform and for 4 turns generate different dimension. What is this, Yu-Gi-Oh? This is the Google Translate. I call it hyper dimension. They call it extra dimension. It doesn't matter. The domain, key +4 for all extreme class allies. The domain effect, extreme class allies and enemies, attack and defense +10%. Gains an additional attack and defense +10% to those who are in exploding rage and movie bosses. You have to first be extreme class and then be this. It doesn't work one or the other. So you have to be an extreme class movie boss, extreme class exploding rage. Super class allies and enemies, damage received +10%. So two things to take away from this. Number one, the turn 5 from first appearance matters, and this is part of the reason why I moved him down to number 3, because after you get the character showing up for the first time in battle, then the counter starts. So if you have this guy in your slot 7, when he shows up turn 3, you can only activate the domain turn 8, which is a bummer. That takes a long time. Are you going to be able to handle things until then? That's one downside to the character. And then in regards to this here, think of this as basically reversing a damage reduction on a character. So for example, let's just say like Super Saiyan 3 STR Vegeta is on this unit's team, right? He has a base 80% damage reduction. When in the hyper dimension, his damage reduction is now 70%. That's basically how this works for superclass allies or enemies. So now let's move on to the full power Super Saiyan Broly. When he transforms, he is stupid. He is a juggernaut. So this guy raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes colossal damage to all enemies. That's the AoE. And then for the 18 key, greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes mega colossal damage to the enemy. For the passive, key +6, attack and defense +300%. Activates guard against all attacks, plus an additional key +1 per key sphere obtained. Reduces damage received by 26% before attacking while the domain is active. Gains an additional attack +50% when attacking. Gains an additional defense +50% when receiving an attack. Launches an additional super attack. Critical hit +26% when launching a super attack. Launches an additional super attack and gains a critical hit +26% when launching an ultra super attack. Once you do that ultra super attack, the 26% remains. So you'll have 52%. So you want to be launching an ultra super. Launches an additional super attack when key is 24. So basically, when you transform to this state and you are in the hyper dimension, you are unstoppable, and you will just keep on launching attack after attack after attack after attack. The weakness with this character lies in the setup, getting to this point where you can execute the unstoppable Broly move, right? So getting to that point, is this Broly with his guard and with his need to launch attacks to gain some defensive prowess and all that stuff, is that enough to make this character reliable in the slot 1? That is going to be a case-by-case basis, but it's because of things like that that I had to move him down to number 3. And then in the Broly, in the full power Broly form, after the domain is gone, which is only for 4 turns, if the fight is still going somehow, if the enemy somehow survives Broly's onslaught, what happens then? You will still remain in the full power form. You will lose a significant damage reduction, which could change things for you. So for all of those different reasons, I have him at number 3. How do you build the hit potential? Well, when you factor in setting up to get to the transformed state, I think that is where the priority should lie. So I have this unit as max dodge. I know that sounds blasphemous because this guy is a destructive force, but you got to get to that point. You got to get to the point where this guy doesn't need to worry about defense. Guard, great. Stats, great. Pre-super stats, not as great. So if you don't have some good slot 1 characters to run with this guy, that's going to be a bit of an issue. Now, you do have the banner unit Frieza. The Frieza is a great slot 1 unit. So if you have other tanks, this is less of a problem. But then you factor in AoE situations. So in general, all things considered, I think that dodge is the number 1 priority, because once you get to full power Super Saiyan, everything else is taken care of. Additionals are taken care of. Crits are taken care of. You are unstoppable. But if you want to add more to the crit, this is what I would recommend. Max dodge. The remainder would go into critical. Some could do additional. I would personally just go crit. You already have a base 5 additional from inherently being an AGL character, so I would put the rest into critical. That is my official build for the Broly. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Moving on now to the Gammas. The Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. Brilliant shining heroes. Let's take a look. Superheroes, 200% lead. Raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes colossal. Greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes mega colossal damage. For the passive, look at this. We got multiple phases here to look at. For the passive, key +3, attack and defense +125. Gains an additional key +3, attack and defense +125% when HP is 30% or higher. Superheroes, joined forces, defenders of justice, category allies, key +3, attack and defense +50%. Chance to perform a critical hit +30%, and performs an additional super attack up to twice per turn per int key sphere obtained. Meaning if you pick up int key spheres, you are good to go. You get crit, you get 2 additional supers, which is absurd. Chance to perform a critical hit +12%, and performs an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super up to twice per turn per either AGL or STR key sphere obtained. So this is basically the same condition as this, but to a lesser extent. You want to be picking up int, but if you can't, and you want to pick up AGL or STR, you still have the same condition, but less consistent. I like this because obviously the #1 goal is to go for int, but if you don't have ints, enough of them around, if you have 1 int key sphere obtained, you might judge that 1 int key sphere versus 2 AGLs might not necessarily be the play. So you have the option to choose either or, depending on how lucky you're feeling. Gains an additional attack and defense +50%, reduces damage received by 30%, starting from the turn in which the character performs their 3rd attack in battle, which is basically after the 1st turn, so that's very nice. Then we go into standby mode. Enter standby mode for 4 turns, gains 1 charge count for each ally attack performed. This is able to be used when HP is 70% or less, or after the character has attacked 3 or more times in battle. So either or works. Probably this is going to be the more likely scenario for you because he will essentially get the 3 attacks in the 1st turn. So like the Beast Gohan, this is going to be activatable the next immediate turn. So then we go into standby. In the standby mode, this guy's actually able to attack and perform, so that's good. Raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes Colossal. Greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes Mega Colossal. Raises superclass allies defense by 50% for 1 turn. For the passive, key +6, attack and defense +250. Reduces damage received by 50%. Gains an additional attack and defense +50% when attacking. Superclass. Oh, I think I said superclass before. I meant to say superheroes, my bad. Superheroes, joined forces, defenders of justice, category allies, key +3, attack and defense +50%. Same passive as before. Chance to perform a critical hit +30, performs an additional super attack up to twice per int key sphere. Same with the other version of it for AGL or STR key sphere. So this is all the same. You're just a little bit stronger because this is essentially you're stalling for the final stand, right? Then, remember, the charge count is factored by how many attacks you're launching. Temporarily raises attack by 100% per charge count and causes super ultimate damage, stuns the target enemy for 1 turn, and exchanges with Gamma 1. This is the most powerful damage multiplier for any standby finisher right now. Finish skill condition, able to be used when charge count is 1 or more. So the barrier of entry is once again very, very low and very easy to execute. So it's good. This makes the ease of use a determining factor in terms of how good this character is. Once you do that, Gamma Dos sacrifices himself and you are left with Gamma 1. With Gamma 1 now, you raise attack and defense for 1 turn, cause Colossal. Greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn, cause Mega Colossal damage. Raise superclass allies defense by 50% for 2 turns. Key +3, attack and defense +150, reduces damage received by 15%. Gains an additional key +3, attack and defense +150, reduces damage received by 15% if HP is 30% or higher. Gains an additional attack and defense +50% when attacking. Same support, superheroes, joined forces, defenders of justice, key +3, attack and defense +50. Performs an additional super. Changes AGL key spheres into int. So now we have bypassed the alternate versions of that same passive, but we've now integrated them both into the same line here. Chance to perform a critical hit +20% up to 100. Reduces damage received by an additional 10% up to 50 per int or STR key sphere obtained. So with Gamma Dos' Noble Sacrifice, we basically consolidated those 2 abilities together, and now we can go even further beyond with these 2 numbers here. So this character is really, really good. There's a lot to factor in, and this character just goes through an emotional journey. Likewise, it'll take time for this character to reach its end goal. So that's one of the determining reasons why I put this character at the lowest of the 4, because it's kind of a slow burn. But again, this character is really, really strong and ridiculously stupid once you get the ball rolling. But there could be issues with pre-super issues, like if you put him in slot 2, you get hit with an AoE, there could be a problem. If he's in the slot 1, his defense might not be so hot. So those are the types of reasons why I have him at number 4. How do you build the hidden potential for the Gamma 1 and Gamma Dos? Well, I'm glad you asked. This character is max additional balance crit. Now this one was kind of tough for me to decide because you could technically use all of it. You could use all of them. I just think I would rather lean into what this guy can do best and fixate on that more so. Assuming that you're going to have characters like Beast Gohan, who is the #1 priority throughout the entire anniversary, assuming you have characters like that leading your rotations, this guy can focus more on momentum building and just building as much stats as possible. Because you saw, when you compare to like Broly and Gogeta and those guys, the stats here are kind of lacking in comparison. You have to launch attack after attack after attack to make sure that you can, build up the stats. So I think that building up the stats, giving him as much stats as possible is the #1 priority. And then I put the rest into crit personally because I do want that finisher move to be as lethal as possible. Oops, that's Frieza. I want the finisher ability to be as lethal as possible. So the more crit that I can put on the character, the more I can potentially have that finisher actually do damage. That's my take. I feel like this might also be a little bit up for debate. So let me know in the comments what you think about this one. I'm going with max additional, balanced crit, but you could also go dodge instead. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. You are going to have a base 5 dodge because he's int. So now that we have finished the main 4 LRs, I want to talk about the banner units. We have the Golden Frieza and we have the Krillin 18. So let's start with the Golden Frieza. This character is really, really good. So good that you might be wondering when you summon and pull this character, did you just pull a Dokkan Fest? This unit is that good, especially defensively. Super Boss, Prodigious Warriors. Gifted Warriors, right. 130%. Shout out Google Translate. Greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, cause supreme damage. High chance to stun the enemy. Attack and defense plus attack plus 160, defense plus 130. Attack plus 160, defense plus 130 for 3 turns, and always performs a critical hit for that turn after receiving an attack or dodging. Reduces damage received. Okay, the translation is very weird here. Give me a second. All right, let's try that again, shall we? Super Boss, Gifted Warriors, 130%. Greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn, cause supreme damage. Attack and defense plus 1, attack plus 160, defense plus 130. Performs a critical hit within the same turn, and attack and defense 160, 130 for 3 turns after receiving an attack or dodging. Reduces damage received by 60% on the character's first attacking turn. Reduces damage received by 50% on the character's second attacking turn with 3 or more key spheres obtained. Reduces damage received by 40% with 3 or more key spheres obtained starting from the 5th turn. So over time, you are losing a little bit of that damage reduction. It's going to take more and more to maintain it. Dude's getting wailed on by Broly during this time, remember. Reduces damage received by an additional 20% with another Super Boss category ally attacking in the same turn. So this massively helps, because if you run with another Super Boss character, this guy can lead the slot 1 even on turn 5 with 40% damage reduction with the 3 or more key spheres attained. You still have the extra 20%. So this guy is going to retain his slot 1 effectiveness considerably for a long time. Super Boss category allies key plus 2, attack plus 60, defense plus 30%. Good support, good technical abilities to be able to stun and set up, good stalling, and some decent attack stats if you really need it. So this guy is a good slot 1, a fantastic, if not the best banner unit to date. So that being said, what do you do for the hit potential for the Golden Frieza? The answer? Oh no! Oh, well, spoiler alert, who cares? Okay. Max dodge, rest additional is for both of them. I had the ordering wrong. Max dodge. Why max dodge? Toon, he can tank so well. Why would you want to put dodge? I understand where you're coming from. I used to think the same thing. The reason why putting dodge on a tanky character that is primarily supposed to stall, the reason why that's so effective is dodge is essentially 100% damage reduction. So while you will consistently get the effects of a 60% damage reduction, occasionally your dodge will kick in and you will get a 100% damage reduction instead. Basically, it makes your longevity far more consistent. It allows you to survive much more dire situations other than simply relying on damage reduction. What if some enemy shows up that has overwhelming stats that even with your damage reduction and all of your synergy that you got with your team, you still get vaporized? The dodge could get you out of it. So that's why for stalls, always good to give them maximum dodge. Balance can go into additional because he's a setup man. Sometimes you want to give key to your slot 2 character, with the Frieza being your slot 1, so you want to give your Frieza 1 key. So all of a sudden you don't have enough key to launch a super attack. If you give max additional, then the additional could proc in the hit potential, giving you potentially an additional super attack, allowing you to stun. So that's why max dodge, balance additional, in my opinion, is unquestionably the best way to go for this character. Moving on to the last character, and that is the Android 18 and Krillin. You already saw what the hidden potential is. Join forces, Battle of Wits, 130%, greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn, causes supreme damage, and lowers attack and defense. E+2 attack and defense plus 180%, medium chance to dodge when there is a superheroes category ally attacking in the same turn, crit, and dodge rate plus 30%. E+1 for all allies in the superheroes category. So all of these things will happen when you've got a superheroes category ally attacking in the same turn. Very nice. Attack and defense plus 30% up to 90% with each attack evaded. Oh, stop right there. This already tells you it should be max dodge because the fundamental basis of your abilities and gaining more stats is predicated on dodging. With medium chance here, additional 30% chance here, that may not be enough sometimes. The more dodge you can give, the more consistently you can achieve this. Attack and defense plus 180% before receiving an attack for the turn. That also helps. So if your dodge fails, all the different dodges that you have fails, you have extra cushioning right here. When HP is 50% or more at the start of the turn, attack and defense plus 50% for all superheroes category allies for 2 turns, self-excluded. That is very nice. Whoa. So both characters, both banner units are fantastic supports, and the Frieza is an amazing slot 1. This guy not as much, but still has some utility in the slot 1 position. Assuming you have Beast Gohan is your slot 1, but still, this guy can be useful in situations where it's in the AoE in slot 2 or 3. You still have these extra stats here. So how do you build this character in terms of hidden potential? Well, as you saw, max dodge, once again, #1 focus, allow the unit to gain the most amount of abilities via dodge. Balance additional, no crit is needed because its attack effect allows you to nerf. And now there are events where you can nerf characters even past the preliminary rounds. They have kind of added a little bit more appeal to those sorts of effects again, which is good. So this matters. So the more you can nerf a character, the less likely this character could receive fatal damage, because if you are raising stats and lowering stats at the same time, that's sort of like a makeshift damage reduction. So in a situation where you attack multiple times, you nerf multiple times, and you stack, and then you get hit with a super, you have a better chance of surviving with all of your dodge and those extra nerfs in there. So that is why max additional and balance. No, max dodge, balance additional. I have word jumbling dyslexia when I speak sometimes. And that's it. Now, the last thing that I want to mention, while all of this is good and well, how to build these characters, some of you might be thinking, Toon, I don't have the hidden potential orbs to do all this. What do I do? Well, I'm glad you asked, because during these major anniversaries, you are going to be getting access to a ton of EX skill orbs. So don't be so hasty to immediately burn your best skill orbs. What I would recommend that you do is you actually provide some temporary EX skill orbs that may not provide the exact amount of support that you want. Like, for example, you give a level 1 additional to your Beast Gohan, a level 2 silver to your Beast Gohan, a level 3 additional to your gold slot for Beast Gohan, something like that. But those temporary EX skill orbs can be placed and then removed when you get better ones from some of these events. So don't be so hasty and to wait. I should probably mention this at the start of the video. Oops. Hopefully you watch the whole thing. This is why it pays to watch the whole video. We have several events that are going to be providing skill orbs in a multitude of different ways. So let's just go through these. The Broly event gives you movie boss skill orbs. So this is a Dokkan Wiki L, because this says super boss, which is not correct. In the Dokkan Now special, it says movie bosses. So I don't know why that was incorrect. I did mention that in my other video, so apologies for that. This is actually what it's supposed to do. Movie boss EX skill orbs. So if you summon for Broly, you get the Broly, you can provide one of these skill orbs that you get on the first day or the second day and equip those for the time being. For the anniversary characters, they will be getting even better unique equips during the 9th anniversary battle. That is what makes this event so great, because while it is extremely challenging, the payoff is you get unique equips that are slightly above what other equips can do. Actually, not even slightly, a lot, which we'll get to. So the Broly event, you can do daily when it's available. Get movie boss EX. The Pan event gives you superhero skill orbs, EX skill orbs. That starts during part 2. And then the 9th anniversary battle. So the Dokkan Wiki is not updated, but it shows 8th anniversary here. Every single anniversary has a fight. You go do those, you clear those missions, and look at the skill orbs you're getting. Crit and defense +2. So, but the defense is actually 400, not 200 for these two characters. You go down to like 8-year, 7-year anniversary. You're getting level 6 additional plus defense +600. 8-year anniversary. Level 5 crit, level 5 additional for the 8-year anniversary Spirit Bomb Z, Spirit Bomb GT. Defense plus 800 on the bronze. So that is why the unique equips for the anniversary characters are really, really, really good. And so for the anniversary characters, you should provide some EX temporary skill orbs. And then by the end of the anniversary in part 3, when you can get these, you can equip those to have them achieve their final form. And then after that, don't forget, you have other events that can give you just regular skill orbs. The Super Memorial Battle that's going to be happening during the anniversary where you can fight BROLY, Gogeta, Beast, and the Gammas. You'll get some EX skill orbs from that. And then, of course, the Whis event that can be done once per day. Actually, no, it can be done as much as you want now. It costs a ton of stamina, but if you're really desperate and you need some EX skill orbs, this could be a way to do it. I'm warning you, the drop rate is abysmal. You will not get a good skill orb until you're like 48th run. It's very, very bad. So if you're really willing to do it, you can, but I would not advise you depend on this. Work on the other ones. So there you have it. That is my full breakdown for all of the new summonable characters and how I would set up their hidden potentials. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the hidden potential builds that I have revealed to you guys for all of these characters. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have some god tier EX skill orbs ready to go, or do you need to work on them via these events? Let me know your thoughts overall in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more dope content in the future and click the notification bell so that you know you want to see more of my stuff. Do it. Thanks again. Stay tuned and always rent to Dokkan responsibly.